Jeremiah 23 in hoods, cuz. Yeah, I want to just spit this, man. This is what I'm saying. In the light of a book. Write a book. The Lost Tribes of Israel in America. Yeah, write the book, man. Any one of you. You get a hold of this tape. And what else? What else we got, man? Not only got Lost Tribes, cuz. It's Baby Baycott, South Central LA, 71 Baby Cribs. That's it. That's all I know. And then we had a genocide. My point is, there'd be a drop of blood in any African American of either Arabic, whether it be Muslim, because then you would have to answer the Muslims, because Elijah Muhammad asked for land, knowing our Bible and the story of the Hebrews. You do have the parallels. There are parallels there. The Bible, and that music in the background, that's hip-hop. That's my hook, because I'm trying to bring in black youth into the knowledge and understanding of their foundations and roots. We probably go to Arabic or Seed of Abraham. The whole story of that Bible is from the East. That's why the Muslims know about it. That's why Farrakhan knows the Bible. That's why Elijah Muhammad knew the Bible, of which they respected Jesus' words as a prophet. What is the question when he asked for land? The question I would ask you is, why didn't he get it? Another subject, huh? No, same subject. When you tell people get 10 friends next 10 years and look for square footage, poor people and hood people and new developments, 5 years be ahead of the developers, and take the land and what? Your ground lease or square footage. That one's for your assets and you to be able to live. Why we tell the poor that in hoods? Jeremiah 23 hoods. Because that Bible from Europe, King James, it talks a lot about Hebrews, East, and land, don't it? You that know the Bible. The bottom line is, how in the heck did the East, the slaves from the East, wind up in the West from here to Haiti? My question is this. If one of you have power and can take a census on how many descendants in every nation, including Haiti, United States, where there's blackness, and trace the roots to their fathers. We don't need a machine to do this. We want DNA. DNA is why we give a person life, so we believe in it, the proof of it. If we test these blacks from here to Haiti, if there be no Arabic or Hebrew, one of the 12 tribes in there, then they just black, huh? But if they have any DNA tied in Eastern, from the East, voodoo would be one practice of spiritual, and the other two are Muslim. The outstanding spiritual, African spiritual mysticism and all of that has its place. The voodoo has its place. And then you have the Muslims and the Hebrew teaching. I know in Ethiopia, DNA, he proved them to be Levites. So if he is coming and his hair like wool, then it would be identifiable if the DNA is correct it looks similar to curly hair to those in Ethiopia, since they've been proven to be what? By DNA testing, Hebrews. But not just Hebrews. What are they? They also are descendants from where? From where? Of Solomon. That's right, King Solomon. The Muslims, the ones I met in Nigeria, have already proven that. They said to prove to us. And see, why would the Muslim just agree so easily? The Muslim hard. He trying to persuade us to come to Allah and the commonality of the Prophet Muhammad with the Prophet Jesus. They believe is a prophet. Now, bottom line is this, and to be a real Muslim, you had to at least admit that he was a prophet, because ain't no false prophet from Europe gonna tell you not to look on a woman, and it would be adultery to look on her. He went further, and they stone you, the practicing Hebrews. You have in Ethiopia the practice of those, you're practicing Hebrew, and if they say, yeah, I'm pretty sure they get a car dealer thing easily on the license, rather, on the strip. And if you ever come to Las Vegas, you're going to see Ethiopian. A lot of them on the table. Practicing Hebrew is a practicing Hebrew, period. Muslim gotta respect it. But thou shalt not steal, and the rest. I think you get caught in some of the Muslim countries, cut your hand off. Whatever the case is, the agreeing of thou shalt not steal, the agreeing of thou shalt not kill, of our brother, it's all twined in there, commonality, mutualities that bring these two together in the East. So say the Nigerian, and have respect and try to convert each other over. No other gods, they believe. So therefore, the Son of Man is the Son of Man, the prophet. Idolatry would be to be all the other. I don't know about all that. I know I need a Savior, me, myself, and the Holy Spirit is the Savior. If He sent the Holy Spirit, then I have help to not murder you or me or anybody else on Nutty Buddies. South Central 71, you think I ain't Nutty Buddy? Probably so. Nevertheless, the hope of the Holy Spirit who helps me with murderous thoughts, revenge thoughts, to take it out in the warfare of spiritual warfare, dealing with principality, power, and things like that. And I got 6, and I'm aiming them right now. Those spirits from the east of poverty. First they come unbelief, then come divisions, then come poverty. Countries that are third world and direct relief, Google it, have to go there because the outbreak of COVID, for example. Some countries where there's no capital interest, capitalism, those countries suffered the most. And those countries that suffered, they suffered. Yeah, they did. Because direct relief has to get there with the medicines, like COVID. It could take as long as God knows what. But mercy ships and stuff like that. Why do they go to these countries? There's no interest in their resources. Why are we sending the people back to Haiti and kept the Yugoslavians, Ukrainians? Why do we keep them by the thousands? Why do they show up in my neighborhood in Cali, down in Citrus Heights? Well, we know the Russians live there, and many of them are relatives of the Russians. But you have droves and droves that was welcome, and the Haitians went back, man. Now, I am saying two things. Mothers that have lost black males on swole, on hood. If we can get all of them together and let them talk about it so they can be healed, like the mothers in Philadelphia put together something to acknowledge the death of black sons. They all come together and weep for their children. Sound like I heard that before. And the similarities of Egypt and the similarities of the slavery here. At the same time, Elijah Muhammad was asking for a land. That's about the time the KKK blew up and said, we Hebrews. Let me say this. If a word of people that be of affliction and similarities of biblical characters, wouldn't it do to investigate further, especially if they are descendants from Africa? For we know that if the Hebrews in Ethiopia is worthy of being acknowledged, then maybe there are others that should be acknowledged if DNA proved they are from any lost tribe in Israel. So we can start with the African Americans and we can wind up in Haiti and we can go back even to all of Africa. And find them everywhere. And if you find them, I would say to my brothers, it's going to take more, to John Hagee, my brother, it's going to take more than you saying get a job, mister. Because we're dealing with restoration of land. Now, if there be found a drop of blood of Hebrew in them. James said to have respect to persons, it is sin. And to come to a holy God about a nation with hands stretched out, and he said, when you approach me, confess the sins of that nation. Confess the sins of Israel. To not confess is to make him a liar. He said, all have sinned. The sin of respect to persons is a sin as well. Therefore, if billions of dollars is spent on war, it should be billions of dollars being reserved with DNA testing to every black male in America. Haiti, oh, y'all thought I wasn't going to go there. Huh? And everywhere blackness is found, till they find every last one of them Hebrews or of Abraham's seed. Anywhere it go. If they were Muslim, should have gave Abraham's seed some land back in when Elijah Muhammad asked for land. What I see today on D Street, descendants from Mississippi and Louisiana, I find on D Street them calling things a historical site, but man, the land is being bought out. Is it by bribe? Or if land is demonstrated and elevated to a certain place where assets now determine what a family have, why was God so interested in Israel having land in Judah? And don't forget, through the line of Judah, his hair is like wool. That means Levi, don't it? Coming through the priesthood. Now, if the Ethiopians were proven to be not just Hebrews, but Ethiopians, proven to be practicing Levites today, and why did Israel let them in? When the war and Sudan and all of that, well, it was letting in brothers. Many Christian stations have showed black Hebrews going back to Israel. Some Christian charity brothers from the West have said, we're going to pay for their return. billions are spent to support the current Israel. You see, quick to say yes to that. Slow to say, even our theologians. Yeah, land reparations would be good for the African Americans, especially if they prove to be Arabic or Hebrew, and especially if they're Hebrew, because they care not for the weak ones of Judah or Israel is not a good thing, and not strengthen them, and not restore, and even as we make Psalms of David from Europe, did he not restore to whom he should have killed? That is King Saul's son. And he restored lands, didn't he? The restoration of land is so important and so intense, for land was what they were brought out of Egypt and given. It was to stay in the family perpetually, and there wasn't no getting out of it. That was your land. When Jezebel took it, they threw it from a tower, and the blood ducked up. She splattered when they threw her off. The prophecy of Elijah. She coveted land, and King Ahab, he wanted the field. Judah sold out Jesus for, and they bought a bill for him. Anyway, if them brethren over there, the ones in here, got any DNA in them, what do you think is going to happen? Well, one of y'all start a movement to do a census and take up their census and find out their two census. One from the weeping mothers who've lost, like the Philadelphia mothers. They Google it. Mothers for, they say whatever their name is, their group is. And that way we can take a census of how many have fallen in the wars. And two, we must also appeal to the restoration of land if there's one drop of DNA of people. So you got to start a census of testing of DNA. And what you get, and you get enough petition and signatures, you'll be able to go forth. And at least you could prove or rest your case on, it could be Muslim or Hebrew, and some of the Africans that are descendants of slaves here from their fathers. If you are Christian, even Nehemiah restored. Did Nehemiah take away? No, he did not. But yet he brought restoration and reparations, repairing the broken down walls and everything else. So reparation would come in land form. That was what God gave them when they came out of Egypt. They had worked their land, and then they got their own land, right? What was the cause and effect of slavery? One was Pharaoh waxed rich, right? Because of collective. And it affected the Hebrews, so when they came out of Egypt, they said, let us go back. It affected them. Let us go back, because Moses don't know what he's doing. Hey, many died in the wilderness because they didn't believe that God had something greater than the poverty and slavery in Egypt. but we're not giving Europe a pass. So out of Europe today comes the roar of the Lion of Judah. And Judah is roaring. You hear songs and music like David. It's excellent. Because the musicians have perfected their gifts, Holy Spirit always gonna come anyway. If 2 or 3 gather in my name, I don't have to ever sing those songs. I can just talk about principles from the Word. And what happened? Holy Spirit will be there. So the thing is, why did God hate the instruments of music and they made them like David and rebuke Israel? Because of the brotherly covenant. The sins of usury, greediness of gain. Righteous sold out for shoes. The prophets declare. John comes and says, hey, don't go preach your great theologian in his coming. A sign of his coming and your preparation is how you feel towards your brother. You got 2 coats, go give him what you don't have. Notice the power of giving, the concern for the brethren, is similar to the Mosaic, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. But now, if you don't tell your brethren about the Mosaic collective commitment to each other, and you don't read scriptures like that, you read about individuals getting blessed, which, how could one be blessed and not all if God is moving? So, we say a census for every black male that fallen, and a census to, not a census, but a bar, a plumb line, to go out on DNA and prove if there's any Arabic or any Christianity. That way, when we stretch our hands out towards God in heaven and unconfessed sin of respected persons, covetousness, greediness of gain, I don't know how that got back like that, but nevertheless, covetousness, usury, greediness of gain, was the status quo in their day. Not to mention Achan coveted the silver and gold, and the consecrated of all things belong to the Lord. Why do we always want something? Why won't we let God determine what we need? Nevertheless, we got war. Here's the warfare. In black communities, I have saw from the beginning of the Crips with Tookie, that was Baby Crip right on 71, I can say, if you, the untold numbers, at some point going to reach, if you don't agree with me, it's a genocide now. If they keep going, it would be, wouldn't it, considered? History would tell it probably like that. If you cover it up, it's still going to be talked about. If you whitewash it, it's still going to be talked about. And then they're going to say, well, why didn't somebody care enough about this to do something to stop the murders in the black community? But if you be strong in the Lord and the power of his might, you will know that I must persevere regardless of how I feel. So what we suggest is that the census go out and we can find out from the mothers as they have a radio talk or something, and they be able to get air out their griefs, and they connect them from state to state, and eventually we can get a number on these black brothers. And if we can get someone to rise up and take DNA and get a petition and get millions of signatures from blacks to test and see if there's any DNA of Hebrew. And if it is, we take it to our whoever is wealthy and rich and the brethren in the body of Christ. And if you got wealth, you can't hide behind social gospel. You know why? Because the cry of your brother descendants could enter into the Lord of Sabbath, who mowed the fields. Their fathers did mow these fields. And the Southern Baptists, the Southern Mississippi, Louisiana, which were mostly Southern Baptist churches, talk pie in the sky and get yours later, and more focus on born again. And that mindset might be the best mindset to have versus serving the materialistic thing of God, and then we floss on the less fortunate and don't know our covenant as far as the brotherly covenant. We do have the opportunity to do that as far as taking the census and find out, okay, where's this going to end? We need the mothers to come together and tell the stories, and we need numbers of mothers to tell the stories, and many of them are deceased, about their sons who died. The only way to get to the bottom line of it. Then we come over to our Caucasian brothers in the suburbs and say, look at this. These are proven to be Hebrews, and these are proven to be of Abraham. It doesn't matter. If it's Abraham's seed, it's Abraham's seed. Abraham would thank you. Go and help thy brethren, and we bring restoration. Nevertheless, it's early in the morning, man. I'm keeping an eye out on y'all. However, I'm pressing this bet. So if you get to both the census, because I've been up all night downloading this thing in my spirit. If you get the census on the DNA testing of black males in America, and go as far as Haiti, and if you go worldwide, good. Anybody that's got DNA to not acknowledge the DNA of the Levites we do now and have the same compassion for them as the Israel that's in war, and these are the Levites, man, proven to be, is to have respected persons. Why? Because you're not just talking but walking the walk by giving the Israelites over there with their lighter skin the ammunition with billions of dollars, billions and billions of dollars, and you don't care nothing about it. You know, by your giving, by your acknowledging and demonstrating. So anyway, if you can get this done, let me sit up, because I'm fighting to get this thing out. Y'all see me in a battle right now, a spiritual battle. But if you want to get this done, if you get the census, and you can tell, then we take it to the brethren over there in the suburbs with the worship, and even to Europe, and say, what about these descendants, man? We've proven to found DNA from Hebrew in them. They are descendants of Moses. And they are stuck. And here's the point I'm making. My point is, with my big gap, is the thing called cause and effect. And before I go there, let me prove it to you. Is there not a cause that they fought for this country? The effect of communism, what about it? What about the effect of socialism? Why do our politicians fight so hard to keep those two away? Could be cause and effect, man. To admit there's cause and effect over here, and to ignore cause and effect in other areas. People and nations that direct relief has to go to, and if they don't go, the people die. Let's say an outbreak happened. They don't have the medicines because they say direct relief. There's no interest in capital gains, and nobody goes there and invests. So they go there by volunteer through charity to make sure they can get their COVID shots, etc. But now, if that doesn't happen, then the prosperity of those that could have helped, you can see why the scriptures say that Israel threw the silver and gold in the streets under captivity of even the one of Syrian captivity, where they took Jeremiah's land, and land was perpetually supposed to be in their tribe. Land was to be there. The consequence of taking land, King Ahab, of his wife doing so, brought death on her. The cause of coveting, the greedy gain, and whatever covetous bring. King David sent Bathsheba's husband to the front line. The cause for him to die and the effects he can have her. There is a law, probably principles of something divine of cause and effect. Why does the sun come up? Why does it go down? Why does it rain? Why does if it ain't, so what? Who cares? I didn't get past probably the 5th grade. Bottom line is this. What cause and effect does no rain have on the earth? What happens if you don't plant any food in the ground? You don't sow any seed. What happens if you don't get off that couch and go to that store and feed yourself? Could it be that cause and effect might have happened on African Americans? Now, if they're proven to be Hebrews, wouldn't that be cause and effect? Choices is one thing. Conditions that help make choices depends on how strong they are. Conditions to break you if you got caught as a prisoner of war. They are set there to break you. Cause and effect in a war. You find out the location, go destroy the people. Cause and effect. What about adultery? Is there a cause and effect of a man or woman committing adultery on their mate? We're going to say yes to all of that. But when we come down over here to the African Americans, we don't want to say their cause and effect, because John Hagee wants to say, get a job, mister. But, Mr. Hagee, if you were a scholar, I thought you was. Don't you know that David, own King David, said, give me poverty, lest I steal. The temptation to steal. And don't give me too much riches, lest I forget your name. No wonder in Joshua 1, the 3 tribes, Dan, Reuben, and Manasseh, were told, you got to wait to get your inheritance, because they helped you get this. And if you start enjoying it, you're going to forget to help them, the wealth that you have. They were commanded to help and took a brotherly covenant vow of death to the man they would first help the brother and then go back and enjoy. We don't teach that in our culture. And when you don't walk Hebrew, what's the cause and effect? You say capitalism is the answer in the hands of sinners? What's the cause and effect of King David had on Mephibosheth, King Saul's son, and when he restored to the enemy, he was supposed to kill that boy? So the bottom line is, if there's cause and effect in any area, what causes the eclipse? They argued, the scientists said, this, that, and the other. What causes the law of lift when you get on an airplane? What is the cause and effect of that law of lift it has when you have a cause to go to a Laker game in Los Angeles and you live in Las Vegas? Did ether drop? Did you have a good time? So if there's a cause and effect, we argue third party. Why did King Solomon say poverty brings destruction on King David? Europe. Why did conspiracy of poverty on slaves from descendants of Africa, which could have Hebrew in them? Is there a cause and effect that poverty could have? We just argued that the cause and effect over here is good, but does it apply here? Well, King Solomon, he's standing by his word. He say it does. I could say right here, what say you, and give you the last word. But I ain't going to do that. I'm going to close and then give you the last word. And you better hope your word is lined up with the word. If there's a cause and effect of oppression, if there's a cause and effect of poverty, if there's a conspiracy of law to empower impoverished people, if there's a conspiracy of law to make by Pharaoh decree to make slaves, if there is a conspiracy of law, does that play, now that poverty is bestowed on the people? Why did Martin Luther King take a bullet to the head? Why does third country have to have direct relief come? What would be the cause and effect if they don't show up? Will there be destruction? Of course they could. Wipe them all out too. Why did the Edomites get called out on attacking the weak and elderly and those that were at the back of the Exodus line? And why did the cause of what they did wipe them out? Why did Cain, who killed Abel, was told he would be a vagabond? Was there a cause and effect? I'm not done yet. With a genocide that I'm looking at, I call it that. There's got to be a cause and effect now. I think Tookie Williams saw it, and he wrote a book. He got a Nobel Peace Prize like Martin Luther King. And he tried to stop it. But once it was in motion of inward affliction, cause and effect. If there's a cause and effect that poverty can bring, cause and effect, Mexican cartels, poverty, they fight, cause and effect in every inner city, with poverty being there, they fight. Their cause is to have enough to be able to take care of themselves. Me flossing on you, and you don't have any necessities at all, unless I've been trained to be content with such things as I've had. But that's not the training in this country. Every 5 seconds something's going to flash on you. And it insinuates, especially in black culture, if you don't have these things, you're a scrub or you're nothing. Thus, we fight to get these things to prove that we're something. Black diamonds, fancy cars, and we're proving it to ourselves. I'm something. But you can let it die right there and say, at your best, you may not be such a hot shot for God. It doesn't matter if you're Europe. It don't matter how many songs we make on instruments like David, even though I appreciate the warlords that bring forth the Lion of Judah in a praise. But he did say to them, take away the instruments like David. For if David restored lands to Mephibosheth, Saul's son, of which he was supposed to kill, because Saul was Hebrew, wouldn't it be right to restore land to these if DNA be proven in any black male that there are Hebrew in him? That's why we need y'all to start a petition of signatures that deal with DNA testing for black people in America. It would be extremely important because the billions that are spent for the Hebrews over there in Jerusalem right now. Money. by the billions, and poverty given to these by law. Couldn't buy certain land till 69, brother. And how many? One more census. So we got 3. We got 1 census for what? To test DNA in every black male, see if they're Hebrew or Arabic. A census or a petition or a bringing together of every community in the United States, in inner city hoods, of mothers, and the testimonials of what they felt, and telling the world there's a genocide. My son is part of it, and he was killed. Because it's going on. Ain't nobody saying nothing. But I'm saying something. I'm saying these 3 things would be tools and weapons to stop or prevail or care for the same care for the Hebrews over in Israel, if it's proven to be DNA, with these people here in America that got hair like wool, like it says, Lion of Judah will come, his hair. It didn't say it'd be straight, it'd be curly. Aren't you concerned, my brother, about the curly head people here in this country? Materialism can only go so far. Those people oppress their own brethren and threw their silver and gold in the streets. The siege and the things they had to go through. The Assyrian king puts their eyes out of their priests. The taking of Jeremiah's land after Jezebel was thrown from a tower because of it. The taking of Jeremiah's land is like the taking of the land that belonged to the Hebrews here, and the briberies to get it. Listen to what I'm saying. Do a status, a census on how many black families own land, and the ground lease or square footage, commercial. Land that is asset of which they can receive financial things from. Land, assets, competition, individualistic, capitalistic ideology, because Walmart ate Sears. Did we multiply or did we stagnate in land ownership? Just saying. Most precious asset, wouldn't you say? In the face of great multiple immigration, could not the descendants of slaves benefited from assets like ground leasing and square footage leasing, strip malls, and etc., because of the ownership given to them by rightful pay of the fathers that used them, like companies like Procter and Gamble, and look the other way with the pay when the scripture said don't hold it overnight. But now when Elijah Muhammad hit you during the Great Depression, World War II is there, and he said, can we have some land? Until this day it was denied. They have to buy it. And that means if they got any DNA of Hebrew, they had to pay twice. It's more like a trickery thing. The fathers and the bribes of land. Why was the Black Lives Matter women marching just 23, 4 land restoration because their fathers lost ranches and acres of land by bribes because $1,000 looked like $1. Why did we, the United States, send the Haitians back? And if DNA proved to be anybody over there Hebrew, you send billions of dollars to Israel to strengthen them in their war. You send billions of dollars to Ukrainians to strengthen their war. What happened to the Haitians when they got back? Some of them dead, man. What if a drop of Hebrews in them? And we making a big show about the Hebrews that we protecting now with their lighter skin. Because in blackness, there probably some Hebrew or Arabic in it. Why? It's from the East, bro. You can't make everybody Caucasian. Solomon did marry Bathsheba, didn't he? And wasn't she a black woman or was she a white woman from Africa? Which one? If she was black, there got to be some mixture there. If he's white, it don't matter. Color is not the issue I'm arguing for. Respected persons is what I'm arguing for, and I'm arguing it out if it's proven by DNA. So anyway, if you can prove this, hit me up. I'll run with it. DNA, whole nine. Because it's going to take that. If my people call by their name, and I appeal to the Caucasians, brethren, humble themselves, seek Him, and pray. And it talks about that. Confessing the sins of the nation. But more importantly, Nehemiah didn't take it away either. He didn't take it away from the Israelites, yet he restored it, him and the collective, and told them to shake off the usury of putting their brother in debt and exploiting them in the first place, which practices they said they went into captivity for. Remember, they took Jeremiah's land. That had to be a big sin, man. And the Niger, the guy, the black guy, gets him out of the pit. They had got that far off, bro, where land wasn't even respected no more. And Elijah Muhammad tested you, America, and asked for that land. And he Muslim. But he knew that Bible. That land was important. And since we parallel it, and we were slaves, so were they. You Christian nation, or you believe in Hebrew, well, if you have some slaves, bro, don't you think you should follow the Bible and allow a restoration of land? Nehemiah took money and restored land. It wasn't for him. It was for them, the descendants. They went into a captivity. Woodland asset in ground leasing and new communities and square footage and leasing, like Nipsey Hussle had leased a town in a town square strip. But what if he owned it? They wouldn't be able to board up his memory dealing with his peacemaking blessings he brought to Bloods and Crips, east to west coast, and healed many. So it's not about me highlighting Nipsey Hussle, but the leaseor is the head, isn't it? And the one that owned that land. Palm 9, 1969, these, if they are proven to be Hebrews, they can even buy land to 69. They had changed the laws, only in a certain area. 1946, they get here descendants from Mississippi and Louisiana, who Muslim was bribed to sharecropping and putting them in debt and exploited. Anti-Hebrew right there, and especially if they're Hebrews. Got you right there. And it's proven to be. That's why we need the censor. And the fact that the land was never established, it was all, and if it was given, even the one that owned a lot of acreage in Wisconsin, because you can find the information. Eventually she was bought out. And Black Lives Matter marched last year. The women were marching because of the bribery of their land. Some of the ranchers bought with acreage of $2,000, but worth millions of dollars now. Why did the United States block the black people from land ownership in certain areas till 1969? Why did Elijah Muhammad ask for land, and why did the KKK say, we Hebrews? It's what you gotta ask yourself, man. If they are Hebrew, they have been kicked to the side. Conspiracies of poverty, which has cause and effect, said Solomon, third party. You thought I was going to say something else, huh? And that cause and effect, I choose to believe because Solomon said so. And he had more drip. He governed worldwide. And he let silver run down as the sand of the sea. It's plentiful. You can't have some of Solomon's things dealing with capitalism. But Solomon's thing looked like nothing missing, nothing broken for his own people. And Solomon's thing also in natural things. It also was nothing missing and broken, and ain't no poverty in heaven. So as it is in heaven, Solomon had exemplified the way it should be on earth. But now Gentiles got to come in upon every tribe and kindred and tongue. And is that why Deuteronomy 14 said, when they got in the land, after the three tribes, Reuben, Dan, and Manasseh, helped them, read Joshua 1, to get their inheritance. And then why did it say in Deuteronomy 14, when they came in the land to bring the first fruits and 10% of everything in it, that I have given my tithe to the priest. And next is the stranger, and to the widow and fatherless. Some say the priest gave it to him, the stranger, and the widow and fatherless. Why was that done? If I'm introducing a God, and I just came out of a war, and I wasn't supposed to touch anything, they said, why they leave all the stuff here? This was a war of people, persons, a nation sins, scholars say, fell in that. And when they sinned, they went in and died. Some in famine and siege, eating each other barbarically. They got messed up, man. And the first group didn't even get in the promised land because of unbelief. Why is land so important? Why is here in North Las Vegas, they buying land like now they're going north and there's 398,000 square footage structures there and 190,000 square feet right beside it, right there on Simeon. Come down in the Google map towards Owens, go south and go to Craig Road, go to the Social Security office on Simeon and come down, you'll see him. Go to Losey and look up a group called LUNK, L-U-N-K, or it's L-L-U-N-K. Look it up, look at the structures on Losey and Cheyenne. Square footage is very important. Real estate ownership and land ownership is very important. Why did the Indians get restored back? And when they were given land, why was it given land? It was the consciousness of the nation. Why did they allow them to build casinos now? Didn't they felt that there was a cause and effect of what happened? And you say King Solomon is a liar? There's no cause and effect of poverty? Why is everybody fighting to get out of it then? If poverty brings destruction all by itself, brother, you go tell John Hagee of the Southern Baptist that it's more than just get a job, mister. It's a little bit too late for that one. Some of them got robberies from poverty, tempted beyond measure. Some of them can't hold out like the Ethiopians and die of starvation, you see. And that's why they got them on the front line at your casinos in Las Vegas, because they believe in the Ten Commandments. But now, have you sought out all of Israel, you European Christians, with your music like David? And have you have the same care? That's all that's asked. And in necessities, we minister to those cares, us that make songs in suburban neighborhoods and have no consciousness of anybody connected but the Israel you see on TV. And when you have we're looking for the Israelite people, it's always somebody that's not no hair like wool. And they might be Israelites. But we've already proven Judah through Ethiopians. There might be more. That way, we can get to, and we intend to nail to the door of these churches in this country of our brethren in the Caucasian neighborhoods especially. For the stumbling block had to come in the seminaries. For why did the pastors go after money, man, and not the collective? Taking up the ideology, philosophy, and theology of Joshua 1. We must help our brethren. Pastors sell books and tapes, got rich. Was it a stumbling block in seminary? Because I'm missing something here, man. The collective and the household of faith is supposed to be what we've been baptized into, a body of one. If my brother at the gate is hurting, how can I sit in my ivory castle, have church services, and not weep and wail over the children of my sisters that lost their children? Worse, if it's tied by DNA and they find out to be Hebrews, and they never got land, and if they did, it was brought back, wouldn't land be something you would want to talk to God if we was to go to war and we be confessing the sins of this nation? Did America sin against the Israelites right here? And you better eat all of that. Because if you don't find that out, brother, and it proved that they are, then we have respect to persons. And if you have that, is sin. How can we go and humble ourselves to God, confess the sins of the homosexuals, confess the sins of this, that, the other, and not confess the sins against the Hebrews that's right here in America? That poverty, said King Solomon, is still reaping its destruction. But many have fallen after the love of money. To chase that as a Hebrew is anti-Hebrew. Because you love it, because you are in bed with it, because you are so drunken on material things. And so self-righteous that you got it all by yourself. And he's a lazy bum, of course. Get a job, mister. Would you been tempted, raised without a silver spoon, for you silver spoon comfortable Christians, to steal as for meeting necessities? Murder, rob. We see sins in the hoods. We know there's sins that come from cause and effect from poverty. But no man lay it to heart because, number one, them is just African American niggas over there tearing up stuff and doing their thing. But in the songs that we sing in our culture, it certainly ain't about no Jesus. Only in the church, the songs we sing is more pagan, wouldn't you say? God of sex, God of money, silver and gold, the fashioning of idols. Who and where they get that from? Would you rather have them doing that than practicing Hebrew collectivism of helping each other to get their thing together concerning their land ownership? Would you give to a direct relief or a fund that would have finances available for land ownership in new communities to descendants of slaves if it's proven that their DNA is of Hebrew? And Abraham himself went out looking for a land. Would you have helped Abraham if he was alive then? I'm appealing to Europe and American Christians that are on the other side, that are of Caucasian descent. If you didn't get nothing, then I would understand. If they prove you have DNA that come Hebrew, then we should help each other get land. While the battle's going on the financial gas going off. Because that brother over there sitting on 398,000 square foot empty buildings, got 5 of them, man. And land ownership being gobbled up by Chinese with cash and all kind of stuff. Land brung up in this country as a reparation, and the way I would do it is new developments as investors go out and buy parcels. That way they can have options of ground leasing and square footage in industry and etc. Because logistically, to be with just a degree as a descendant of slave, they won't be in a fair fight. Walmart beat Sears. Assets does matter in a materialistic world, doesn't it? Or why do you go to work so hard? To compete in an individualistic, capitalistic ideology, said Free Bible Commentary, world scholar Bob Utley. He said this: no, it's less collective, more individualistic, capitalistic. And I could care less, nevertheless, that for my brethren, or I could care. Thank God for charities. But does charities mean anything if land is not restored to them Hebrews so that they can worship him in spirit and truth? In Egypt, they probably cursed God. Same way it is over here in my hood. Poverty, Solomon said, brings destruction all by itself. Would not they be destroyed if COVID broke out and direct relief can't hit them third world countries? What would be the destruction mechanism? Poverty. But you don't want to apply that over here. And they were, by law, made poor. And Martin Luther King took a bullet. If you're going to establish an ism, communism and socialism, why would you fight it? Except for you know there's cause and effect. And I'm closing on cause and effect. If there's a cause and effect, would you not say people that have been hit by a bomb dropped on Hiroshima, the effect, scars and burns everywhere? Reality check, fact. That bomb affected many people that we decided to drop. Without that bomb being dropped, there's no cause and effect, is it? The power of cause and effect is what I'm arguing for. What makes the sun go down? What makes the tree give oxygen? What makes an eclipse and we can pinpoint it? And what makes the stars come out at night? And what makes the sun to come up and shine on the just and the unjust? What makes the food that we eat, the rain to come on it? Because if there's some cause and effects, and there is laws in operation, what makes gravity gravity? What makes the plane go up? It got to be some cause and effect, brother. And if Solomon said, in my closing, that poverty brings destruction, I could say, what say you, America, Christians? What say you? If you say amen, and just quote the Republic, all God's men are equal, what does that mean? For Jesus told the man that took care of his own tribe. A stranger fell, and the priest walked around him. Now, that's funny, because the priest of Deuteronomy 14, some scholars say, gave 10% to the stranger. Besides, the call is for all, isn't it? Care not for those who stumble over a misrepresentation of covetousness and power. You can call it Baal worship, and riches and honor. And don't land ownership connect with that? All these kingdoms and splendor thereof, he told Jesus, that I would give you. Restoration and the reversal of that curse can be worked through the hands. Have you ever seen Habitat for Humanity? They build a house, it's debt free, no banks, helping. There you go. Why did the black preachers go after money and power and fame and kingship? What was the standard that Jethro had when he told Moses, pick men like this? Men that hate homosexuals, Maybe. Men that hate abortion? Maybe. Notice the standard was men that hate covenants. What's in it for me? Why did Samuel say, I took not shoelace, first prophet to Israel? Why did the last prophet tell them, don't go share your message? Give a coat to him that don't have. And why did Jesus tell that young man, take care of his own, to go likewise, go do likewise, of a stranger that had to pick the man up and pay the bill at the hospital, and said, if he need anything else, I'll come back and pay it again, to recover them back on their feet. The bloodshed I looked at in South Central Los Angeles, the inward affliction, has to be a foundation and rooted in something. And I intend to say this, the cause and effect of what King Solomon said, exactly what he said. The word is true, and we all liars if we can't agree that poverty will bring destruction. If poverty is by law, brother, that is where reparations should be done. And it was by law. And they rebuilt the South by breaking the law. Most of it. So, if the law give life, that's one thing. But if the law bring death, if I can allow and lock up men for selling drugs in California, but yet go to Mexico and Guatemala as an ambassador of any title, from a title of a bum to a president or a vice president, and not say anything about drugs, of which the people you locked up have been plagued for. Then the conspiracy continues. The conspiracy of what? You keep people poor, you can control them. You keep people poor, they're going to make you rich. Consumption. You keep people poor, they always going to need a candidate to help them. How many people in that third thing I asked, petition, own land, and have a ground lease or some kind of industrial square footage? How many out of the population of black people? How many black people got bribed out of the land on record? What was the land paid for, and how much is it worth now? The ladies down there, Black Lives Matter, taking this march. And I'm not for Black Lives Matter, and I'm not for you. I'm for whoever the principles and divine laws that God made. That's who I'm for, the principles. Restoration is a principle of divine law. David, who made his music, restored to an enemy land. Why did he do that? And why haven't I heard anybody coming from the suburbs of Christian churches that gather together while my brothers are dying in these streets? What you leaving up to the black church? What did the black church do? They get $240 million, somebody said, a week. And if they did get the money, who taught them individualism and not collectivism? No? Did Moses live on the house on the hill, or did he live in a tent with the people? Did they all come out of Egypt, or did he leave some? Did they tithe their way out of Egypt? When did tithing start? Were they debt free when they started? But you preachers that always tell the poor black people, tithe your way and bootstrap it out. Have you ever seen a boot fly out of a hole with a strap? Why did the Baptists tell the black preachers only what they wanted to tell? No. And the pie in the sky was preached. Why did the Southern Baptists own D Street over in Las Vegas, in West Las Vegas, purchase the lots of land, or ask the people or find the plans of the city and have a backyard boogie meeting with all them churches and all them cars I seen around those churches. Talk about putting the bucket and poof, here go the magician's trick. When the weight of ownership of land opportunity is in their backyard, man. With Fremont Street, downtown Las Vegas, being the location. And they right there. Why'd they offer my friend $225, man? And he moved. Were they gonna tear down the house and leave empty lots? You bet. Why did Symphony Park begin to go forward? Like Donald W. Reynolds, who established Catholic Charities. Biggest pick-me-up brother off the ground you can establish in the charity. That is, they take in the most homeless. Why so many homeless are black in Las Vegas? These descendants of Mississippi and Louisiana who were told and bribed through sharecropping and broke the law, sent to prison, and then they turn around and what? Rebuild the South. Why did California build so many 10 penitentiaries? Even Ice Cube said that. And why was the capitalists allowed to go to the penitentiaries and do business in the 90s? Why did the whistleblowers come out and why did they run and go ask Martha Stewart? Amen. If they made money off penitentiary and you got a president, vice president, go to Guatemala and Mexico City, who sat in California on the judge bench and asked the people, did you sell that cocaine? And here's 35-year offer versus 100. What's on our record? And you go there and look at the face of the country producing it, and they destroyed black people. Drugs came in, broke Detroit down, middle class. Burned down Oklahoma City. Every time the collective speaker come, he killed. From the Panther Party leader to Gaddafi, for that matter, because he was just saying bring the resources together. Why did Obama kill the idea and didn't allow it to rise and say, yes, we can take the resources and create a currency? A lot of questions. But if there be spiritual warfare, wouldn't you say these black people from Africa to America to Haiti and everywhere on this planet have been under spiritual attack? Is it possible that they may have Hebrew in them or any seed of Abraham? That spiritual wickedness in high places hate that seed because through that seed would come the Messiah. And the enemy, which we know of their soul, pinpoints them exactly the way he wanted done. Genocide with Tutu and Hutu, genocide with this, splits from the West, coveting of land, the robberies of land and resources, the inability to create your own sugar factories when the Queen Elizabeth tore them down, the emeralds and diamonds under the Congolese feet. And how come no one showed them how to participate in individualistic capitalistic ideology? If it's so important to you, my brother, then shouldn't it be just as important that when the Kentucky Derby starts, we all in the gate, man, with assets and degrees? Hey, man, it's not a fair game then. Then the lady on the waters with the scales look like some seducing asshole to me. And why I say that? Because it has to attract you away from collectivism. And it has to attract you away from Hebrew and away from Christianity. As the world scholar from Southern Baptist said, we practice not Hebrew or Christianity. The main practice here, money first, is individualistic capitalistic ideology. And they don't get that many views when he says that. It looked like that to me. Because anything else trickling down is bootstrap, and King Solomon's wrong because he let it run down by saying, see, and King Solomon's wrong on there's no cause and effect. Yet you go to war to protect something to allow ism to get in because of its cause and effect. But there's no cause and effect over here with poverty and Solomon's wrong. You can't turn the Bible on and off, bro. Which one is it? If poverty would affect one in a third world country with direct relief, you have to go in there because there's no capital and no interest. Then that same poverty could bring an effect over here in Detroit, Chicago, LA. And besides, if the miserable poor people need a relief, you just give them a lot of liquor and send them a lot of drugs, and say nothing and cut the dragon off the head of the nations that you go to, such as Guatemala, Mexico City, which the so-called black vice president went to and said nothing. How many brothers did she lock up, man? And if they tell to be Hebrew, that's a cold deal, man. The brainwashing of 666 could be, them ain't no Hebrews. And therefore, they don't look like Hebrews. And they got the mark in their forehead of what? The doctrines of men and the doctrines of devils. Booty shake and worship money. That's what I hear on my brainwashed radio station after I try to unbrainwash my kids. Money, money, and if you do that, they pay you out still. The briberies, man. Instead of teaching them the Hebrew way and restoring them back to the way their culture was when they first got here, brother, which was probably collective. And if they sold each other out to the Portuguese, it was anti-Hebrew. And if the Muslims did it, it was anti-Hebrew. And if the Hebrews did it to them, it was anti-Hebrew. And even Solomon had slaves. Well, how'd they get there? I don't know. But wasn't there slaves always there from Joseph after he passed away? Was the slavery part in the Arabic trade? We don't know about all that. But restoration for the Hebrew Mosaic, neighbor as self, doesn't seem like it should be done. If you stole something, do you believe in restitution? Why the brothers that stole something, they got to pay, man. Everybody pays, but anybody can screw the black man, exploit him, use him, put him in slavery. And if he got any Hebrew, call him an anti-Hebrew. He's not Hebrew. Fake the claim that they Hebrew, and then turn around and leave him there, man, to where the poverty brings self-destruction. You want to do something about it? Give to a charity. Start one. It's one on direct relief. And say, I'm giving this, I want to donate this land to black people, families, to strengthen them so they can compete in individualist capitalistic ideology. Asset being the main investment, not the stock market, land, ownership. For it is important in the Hebrew and Mosaic text, and God brought them all out of Egypt. He wanted them all to come into a land. Land would make sense till he come. As a way, if you see your brother have need, shut your bowels of compassion. How are you walking with God, man? You can sing songs of David till your head fall off. It's just a song, bro. And though the Spirit come, he always gonna come because of the blood. So ain't no getting out of this. But that don't mean we approved for doing righteously and letting justice run down like a river. Especially when the bloodbaths is in my neighborhood. I can hear your songs from the suburbs. But who gonna help us? Worse, what if we got Hebrew in our blood, man? I beseech the churches that's established and you that's comfortable on ivory beds or nice houses. Micah 2:2 said the house of the poor, if they be destroyed, there'll be an everlasting destruction. If we call by his name, gonna stretch our hands out and believe God to protect his nation, boots on ground in Gaza, and you and me have not confessed the sins of idolatry, covetousness, come on now, usury and greediness of gain. For Achan coveted just a silver shekel and a Babylonian garment. And God, innocent people died because of that. 36 men. They lost the war. Israel have sinned, said the angel to Joshua. But Israel didn't sin. One man sinned, bro. They said Achan had stolen the stuff. Could it be we got stuff that don't belong to us? As stewards, and if you call yourself going to govern with him, if you can't give to the one that has labored in the fields, mowed down the fields, their fair share, to compete in what we have set up as, it looks like to me, the Olympic, capitalist, financial Vietnam War. Best man win. When there was no such in the collective thought of God, who brought them all out of Egypt. All of them won. And the three tribes that had theirs in Joshua 1 couldn't enjoy it until the rest had it. And when they did have the big celebration, of course they give the stranger 10% and introduce Jehovah Jireh because they had the money to do so. They were debt free, bro. Why are so many black people in debt? Why are so many black people materialists? Why are so many people chasing after the better life instead of the Hebrew collective? Caring one for another, seeking another man's wealth, making sure that the one on the ground who's been robbed, as Jesus told that young Jew, that he's picked up and put on what? Put on what? Put to the hospital, and I'll pay it out of my pocket. That's Hebrew. That's to a stranger, bro. We were strangers in this land, my fathers. I don't know if you were strangers. That's why I'm appealing to you. But I know we were. And if you were a stranger, why did they say, let's restore land to the Indians? And then when they did say restore land to the blacks, the land was brought back, man. And I ain't heard the Christian church from the Caucasian side make that a big issue. If they just niggers or Negroes, you get a pass, I guess. But if they turn out to be any Hebrew, and you look the other way on the billions of dollars going over there now to support the war, and wouldn't raise a finger, and now they're affirmative action and anything else to help these brothers who, by poverty, by law, and saying Solomon's a liar, ain't no destruction with poverty. My father was poor and blah, 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 blah. Well, if you say Christian nation, you at least got to say, I mean, maybe we got to restore land. Nehemiah that, brother. Because them Hebrews were only restored because the Syrian king went in his pocket, brother. Or they couldn't have rebuilt nothing. And he got that from the collective. You can annihilate poverty by restoration of land, through asset, through ground lease. That asset would be the last one to go. Father Divine called himself God, took up collection plate, bought land up in downtown Harlem. How come they didn't want for nothing during the Great Depression? Was the power and the blessing in the unity? Well, if the same power and blessing was in the unity there, it's the same power I beseech them churches, all you churches out there, about this fallen brother and genocide stumbling block. Whatever happened to these brothers, man? I beseech you by the mercy of God. Can you come help us? For we have no one to fight for us. Not in the area of financial warfare, man. They are exploited to the fullest. Even the black radio stations, the people that are pitching their products are not black businesses here in Vegas. Go to Power 88 or any one of them. Very few black businesses. Because you got the bar set way up here. Lawyers and different things. And most of them, if not 98%, are not black, bro. So we got a serious problem dealing with necessities. And in 10 years, it's going to get even worse. For blacks who are going to be just like Trump said, hit the hardest. And you think I'm a Trump supporter? Yo, you crazy. I'm not supporting none of you. I'm going to say it again. I only support divine principles. That's it. And I herald them. Forgiving, mercy, loving kindness. That was an act that David did on Mephibosheth, or who he's supposed to kill by the custom of kings. Wipe out his enemy's seed so lest they come back. Giving land. Giving with lavish giving, compassion. Why? So that the rewards of the eternal way could be secured. Because other than that, man, you could have a party all day in an ivory castle. And so did they in Israel, in Micah, Hosea, and Amos' day. They were very comfortable, man, while their brethren was in debt and messed up. And they cared not for them. Not at all. They had no strategy to help them. They put them in debt, matter of fact. Many of you Christian business owners. Even though you create a product, man, would you seek after any lost tribe of Israel? You ain't even got to the stranger yet. And if they are not that, are they strangers in your country? Were they? Were they slaves? That fits biblical description. What was God's agenda to slaves? Period. What was it then? Obviously to bring them out. What debt that is now the biggest thing going do you have that you cannot pay off? Imagine for poor people how hard it is for them. If we don't help each other, brother, what I'm trying to say is, I sense in the end of the end times, we will go to war at some point. And the next war, how can you say we're going to win it with such hypocrisy? Hypocrisy of what? If you agree with billions of dollars to be given to Israel of the lighter-skinned ones over in Jerusalem, who already said that the black people are part of Israel by DNA. And if DNA, you say he's guilty, he should be destroyed, and it's been proven. And thank God for the Caucasian churches, evangelists, and different races of people who did show black Israelites. But because you showed them, then we should test the DNA here in this country and find out if there's any more, brother, rather than let them perish. Look the other way, make songs like David, and act like nothing has happened. Because one day, they're going to ask, why didn't the church do something about it? At the untold numbers of black males who died in this dang on thing, like King Herod slaughtered them, like Pharaoh tried to slaughter them with a decree, like it's been through your biblical experience. While you read that, do you see blackness in that, brother? And if you do, help us, for we in trouble in these last days. They just said it. Trump and them just said it. What did they say? Blacks going to be affected the most. Well, why is that? Oh my God, they can't compete. They're so fragmented. The preachers don't know nothing because they still broke about investments, about multiplication, laws of finance and stuff. They tell them put it in a bucket. And the priests did not give to the stranger of the covenants. Why did the cartels break bread, man? Why, out of desperation to address poverty for their own mothers, man? If it's a drop of Hebrew, brother, we got to do something about this. If you call yourself my brother. And this baby Baycott coming from the gangster Crips and neighborhood Crips down in Los Angeles, because I was both of them at the same time, Westside Baby Crips. And I've seen the genocide. I've seen brothers come to the churches and then walk out that door and get killed, brother. Innocent bloodshed. I've said people who never gangbanged, my best friends, walk outside and get their hearts blown out by 12 gauges. Just was at church Sunday. New converts. Come on, bro. And had to pick them up. My dad carried him to the thing. Another brother killed from church, murdered under the car. You don't hear these stories. Y'all ain't gonna hear this. Because what the law once says is they all in a pot together, man. And it's gonna have cause and effect. How many Christian black males, mothers that were Christians, have we buried? Is the promise for white suburban churches effective? But for the black ones, what's the difference? Why do our people seem to be content, get to the top, have no conviction to help the next man? Preachers. What did y'all make in seminaries, man? Did you make collective-minded people that'll put the people truly first? Or did you give them a pass on capitalism and its effects, if used with the intention, with the love of money? Are you offended that the love of money is the root of all evil? Because San Francisco, my brother, where the gay movement birthed, they had plenty of money. They went after it and got it. And can't you fulfill every pleasure with money? And in our culture, they sing about money like it's a god, man. They tell stories of how they got out. And you say, if you help your brother, it's a social gospel. Man, if y'all don't get y'all stuff together, when a war comes, this country may go up in flames, brother. I'm not saying it is. I have no prediction of doom and gloom for America. But I'm trying to figure you out, bro. If these cats got any drop of Hebrew in them, and you expect God to protect the United States for you protecting the lighter-skinned Israelites, if the country gets hit, the songs of David will go away. Though you sing loudly, they coming for Europe next. To let justice run down like a river, bro, and restore what you didn't take away is like King David. He did it to Mephibosheth. He didn't take that land away from him. King Saul blew that in his own sin. Because they were tribal, bro, he gave land. You don't think we won in the body of Christ? You don't think we won? You think you different? You special? You think you better than us? You act like it. Because if it was your brothers and sisters dying in them suburbs out there, you'd be doing something about it, man. And don't think we don't love your worship and hear your warlord songs of the things you do. We need that like we need breath. For that shows us there's a stirring in Judah and warlord. Warlord meaning this, to go against principalities and powers, and the spirit of unbelief and the spirit of division and the spirit of poverty from the east has followed the descendants over here to the west. And by conspiracy of law was them same spirits set in motion. And because of that, they took advantage, the wicked spirits in high places, and brought great devastation, man. King Herod's slaughter ain't got nothing on this. These are untold numbers. And his cover to cover covered all up. What could the church do to effect if we would have had the same care for one another in necessities? Some did, some didn't. I think God will have mercy on this nation. But if he don't call him an unjust God. Because we got, if there's DNA here and you never take the test, you got Hebrew blood all over you, man. Your nation does. Look at the slaughter, man. If the Hebrew Israelites was over there selling dope and destroying each other, and you allowed it, and you didn't go to war to fight it, no cover and send me no war on drugs, and you got Buster bunking bombs that can see 100 feet under, but you can't see 20, feet under to see the drugs moving through Mexico. You can't see that, huh? And you show Escobar, it's a token. Where you white theologians on that, man? The drugs is on purpose. So Trump comes out and say, let's start here and make America first. Well, I would say, start with them niggas down in the hood first. You're talking about making first? Because you forgot them a long time ago. And their descendants, that Mojo Fields. Yeah. If you're going to make it great, and you say again, it wasn't great for us. You forgot about that. The principles are great. The people, I don't know. Anybody can work a principle and work his own iniquity. Anybody can do that, brother. It's called exploiting the gospel or exploiting the principle. He has no intention on helping his brother. And if you called out, like a company, for example, like Procter & Gamble, they crawled on the backs of slaves and established their wealth, bro. And they didn't lift the hand back down. Like a Joseph, they forgot him. And when it did get free, they sharecropped him and bribed him. I ain't heard a shot fired about it, man. And you better hope they ain't Hebrews. That's why somebody from the left wing, you go do it. You'll do it just to make beef. I'll do anything to get them stats. Go ahead and persecute the right wing, brothers, and tell them, why didn't you take care of this Hebrew thing with these black people? You hypocrites. That's what they're going to call you. And if you take care of home first, it ain't lock up all the niggas because they got drugs. If you take care of home first, Brother Trump, cut the head off the dragon that sent the drugs through sanctions. And that way, those brothers over there won't be no liars. You say you're a man of God. We know Biden, he's straight flipped out. He sent the Haitians back, man. Could be possibly Hebrews. And they're over there, and many perished. And we don't lay it to heart at all. We say we failed, and we're done with racism. You can say what you want, but the deeds of any deception and delusions, foundations, will be exposed. And if we don't look at that foundation and take heed how we build, when war comes, World War III, what make you think you'll be sustained and your foundation won't come down? Is it built on the wholesome words of Jesus Christ? He told the man, pick the bill up and pay the bill out your own pocket. The righteous, self-righteous, so-called Jew that was looking at, and this ain't no Jew bashing. Jew bashing is when you ignore the black Hebrews. That's being favoritism, which has been proven, by the way. When you go in your pocket and deal with that stranger, brother, you fulfill Yeshua's words. When you go back to Deuteronomy 14 and they take a tenth and give it to the priest and the stranger, the priest, so he can maintain the word first. So you thought I was an idiot. Word first. Silver and gold have I not. But then the stranger, in giving to him, it shows that our God is a provider of heaven and earth. And our God, we don't covet, because Achan got knocked off with 36 innocent men. And our God, we are stewards over all the land. Here's proof that he's a merciful, loving God. And you're introduced to the Crips and Bloods. I thought so. Because we despise them like they despise the Samaritans. But all the Crips was birthed off was from Tookie, who said, man, we're in deep poverty, bro. The Panther Party addressed it. Then they murdered the Panther Party that was addressing the poverty. And Tookie saw it and took an inward wound. And it's been like that ever since. And even though he got a Nobel Peace Prize with Martin Luther King, they cut his tongue out. White church, where were you when they killed Tookie Williams on that Nobel Peace Prize, brother, for him trying to stop a genocide? and if they were Hebrews. That's why I say, get that DNA. You could do it like this. Make it easy for you. At every voting booth, and every felon that can't vote, blackmail, take the DNA. And if it proves to be from the East, rather Arabic, Muslim, or Hebrew, they are the seed of Abraham, brother. And you do good and bless Abraham, he said he'd bless you. You can't bless the lighter skinned Israelites and think you can treat the darker ones, brother, like they don't exist. God's tired of that, man. If you get the DNA, you can settle the issue. With no DNA, it could be a cover-up. And you could be in a strong delusion and a reprobate mind about the African Americans right here. As we speak, brother. And a reprobate mind can't believe the truth. Even if they told you DNA came from the Ethiopians, it ain't a big deal to you. You still believe the Israelites that's right there, right now, are the cream of the crop. Well, the cream of the crop had to come through Levi. That's the one that Jesus is coming through, right? Hair like wool, DNA prove Ethiopians are it. Why don't you have such fire for them? Huh? Don't be brainwashed, brother, or hoodwinked by our watered down religion that we have had here in this country, man. In the name of Christian nation. It's watered down, brother. And many deceptions. So since we are, you scholars that say we are near his appearing, what was the standard? Well, no greater prophet than John. Here's one standard for you. The least one was greater than John. And if the last one be them Hebrews that be of black color, sitting here in America, you better put them first. And your priority, as you stretch your hands out to a holy God, talk about heal our nation. He said, remove the prayers, brother, and take away the songs of David, because I don't want to hear it till you deal with the justice that run down like a mighty stream to my people. And you know how to do that? Take the petition, find out how many own land, and just make a petition for reparation. Make it easy for you. For them to get land in the new development so they can participate in this individualist competition, which Walmart outbeats Sears. Logistics. So their children, descendants, Hebrew descendants, from Africa, or seeds of Abraham, Muslim, Ishmael, you can say you are blessed. And you can honestly say before a holy God, not by the color of their skin. For the zeal you have for Israel, no one said that was a bad thing. And we don't knock them Israelites that you say are. But I do say, why do the Muslims don't recognize them? Many of the Muslims. The Ethiopians had to prove to the Muslims that they were descendants of Solomon. Muslims don't care nothing about nothing. But they proved it, bro. When an African American walk in your suburban church, do you see them as a victim of poverty? Do you see an injustice done towards their fathers? Could they compete better with assets and degrees in today's society? Would that be an issue in the Bible if they were robbed, in debt, and no man lay it to heart? Was it an issue when Amos said the righteous were sold out for a pair of shoes? And was it an issue when Nehemiah said, because of this usury, they had put people in debt of their own brethren while they were in Assyrian captivity. And yet they put them in debt, man, and came out to rebuild something for God, dealing with land. And when they did that, Nehemiah, as the people cried out to them and say, man, we're going to build this thing, but we ain't getting nothing out of it. Sound familiar? They cried to Nehemiah and he said, shake that usury off, man. Because this is what got us to go in captivity. Notice they didn't say because of the gay LGBT. Notice what he said they went in captivity for. And when they did get enough riches, I'm pretty sure they did some strange flesh stuff. Because you got enough money, you could do anything, man. Fulfill every proclivity in your flesh. The have and have-nots never intended to be in Israel. Some had land, some had liens. But they stood there debt-free, brother, and they helped that stranger. If you debt-free, the black people are strangers in your land. Not the Indians. The Indians, this land belonged to them. Anyway, it goes catch-22 now, because you don't heard this message. All I'm saying, lay it to heart. If you don't, in history, one day it's going to be proven either one way or another. Because people want to know what happened to these people. They're going to want to know why it happened, how did it happen, when did it happen, where did it happen, and how do you mean, and tell me more. And as they do with a sincere heart, everything hidden is going to come to light. You love this country? Remove its reproaches. Dig deep. It's high time now. Because if you can't hear this message, you probably already got a reprobate mind. For you act like the God of the Bible is not the same yesterday, today, and forever. You act like when he meant all come out of Egypt, all come out. He didn't leave not one, not a feeble one among them. And the weak was carried out. And in Joshua 1, there was no bootstrap. It was help each other. The blessing was in the unity. Look how divided black people are. If that spirit from the east has attacked them, would you help them? Can you sing songs about Goliath and have a heart of David and go help them? Through an unclean, filthy, lucre spirit of which hands have been defiled. Through the love of material things which brings the comfort of a so-called lifestyle. My God, here we go with these beggars at the gate and living in tents. And we sitting up high, just blessed, and don't know what to do with the money. Don't know that the affliction of Joseph is there. Don't care if he's in prison. Hell, Yeshua had to say, well, since you forgot him, let me bring him back. When I was in prison, when I was hungry, when I was destitute. Look at what he's saying. Well, if it's him, and these be the first fruits, having DNA of Israel in them, you Gentiles, grafted in. If in the theologies of these different 12 tribes represent all nations, fair enough, no problem. But find out then who's of Israel. The reason why I say start with these black people, because they were the slaves, bro, in this country. That's why. They have the similitudes, the commonality and mutualities of the text of that biblical description. They were not paid, they were impoverished, and they were controlled. They owned no land, and they owned nothing. They look just like the Israelites to me, brother, a biblical description. And you say, no, them ain't. Prove me wrong then. This DNA test. If a DNA test have one drop of Hebrew, bro, the fire you got for the Israelites over there, Mr. Hagee, you should have for these black thugs who are the descendants. Because listen, they wasn't born that way. Conditions shape thugs and criminals. Usually it's poverty, unless you're just straight evil. Poverty brings more destruction than the psychopaths of just straight evil, though. Venezuela, we got an embargo. I get on YouTube and they are starving to death in Venezuela. What's that, man? Just to have a democracy so you can say Christian nation? How you going to get a Christian nation in Kuwait? Over in Iraq? I don't know, bro. But all I'm saying is, bro, the record going to come out one day on the devastation of the black male and descendants from Africa. And when those stats come out, all those mothers that wept were just like Rachel weeping for their children, and they were not. Notice the rejection of the doctrine of Jesus Christ. What happened? He said, don't weep for me, weep for them. Their children gonna pay for this, man. And sure enough, Rome was a brutal force against them. Bro, if the first fruits didn't escape chastening, what make you think your country gonna get it because you got charity? Charity to who? When Mr. Goodman here in Las Vegas said, we want to preserve the generations to come, did he have the black people on the west side, descendants from Mississippi and Louisiana, that got here in the 46 and was given the poorest jobs? Did he have them in mind? Because the Symphony Park that's being built right now is easily the black people on D Street that were bought up was within less than a quarter-mile radius, and realtors take their comps, fact, within a radius. Well, if I give you 225 and I go build, and Southern Land just came in, you could get on, go to Symphony Park, and they built all of these towers, just like Oak Park was declared a historical site in Sacramento. And all of a sudden, through gentrification and different things, rent skyrocketed, bro. Where it drove out the black people, many of them in Oak Park. The exodus coming from LA, Sacramento, California, to Las Vegas because of cheaper rent, all that's gone now. Because this is a landlord state, and they can do what they want. And overnight, 40-year tenants was thrown out. And overnight, oxygen machine, people with disability had to move. And they had to have a bar of $3,000, $3,200 a month. Don't get caught slipping before early retirement, bro. So many of them had to go rent rooms. You act like America is going to have compassion on America. Americans. That's not how we built, bro. We floss. We glow in glory. I got mine, and you don't have yours. That's not Hebrew. That's Olympics. That's I won the gold medal. The hell with you. That's not Master P. Bring them up with me. Remodel the project. No. I got mine. You need to get yours. Get a job, mister. Having the same care in necessities, not the same thing. Food, clothing, and shelter. Ground leasing and square footage would help many black families to recover what was stolen, bribed, lost, or not even paid, bro, if they worked this land and built foundational wealth. Reparations came up, and 80% of the churches in white Caucasian neighborhoods came on Fox, said no to reparations. Not understanding King David, but love to worship. I know you love worship. We all do. But do you understand that God that you worship and how he meant, how serious it was for them to open up their hand wide in the 7th year to bring their brother out of debt? And if they didn't, what you think Jubilee was about? It was going to be considered sin unto them. for not helping their brother. Up to the point when Joshua won, they took an oath of death of anyone that don't help his brother that already got his on this side of Jordan. And you couldn't enjoy it and floss on your brother till he had his. Now that's collective and that's Hebrew. And that's why that Free Bible Commentary.org, that word scholar, said we don't practice that though, brother. No, we don't. And if we don't, we need to repent unto it, unto the kingdom of God, which has the same care, nothing missing, nothing broken in it. And find the broken people. Find the ones that are scarred, that are weak, that are lame, and tell them, hey, look here, bro. We're here for you with resources, something like Habitat for Humanity, so that you can stand and fight in this slaughter of capitalism, which will be done away with at his coming. You ain't gonna be able to sell your books and tapes, preacher, then. Ain't nothing for sale. The tree said that, because he don't charge the squirrel. Nevertheless, bro, if we can acknowledge this thing, at least acknowledge it, that's a start. The brothers came over from the South, and many churches, black churches, apologized for what happened. But an apology has its place. Created equal with the Constituted Republic has its place. You set, be the best that you can be. But that ain't going to stop you and me from being responsible for the brethren that's on the ground. When Jesus said the stranger had to pick him up and pay the bill until he recovered. Notice he had to have someone go in his pocket and help him. The thing we despise. What if the tree charged you for your next breath and you couldn't make it? Would you want somebody to help you? What if it happened to your daughter? What if it happened to your son? Would you want somebody to help them? How many mothers cry in your neighborhood because of drive-bys? Think about it. Why do you move to the suburbs? All this destruction in impoverished areas. And you say King Solomon, he lied when he said poverty all by itself brings destruction, brings cause and effect. Jeremiah 23 hoods.